Pace vs. Risk, Rubber Side Down, Part 2. Nick's note: Keith Culver is not alone on the YCRS staff because two other full-time road racers have recently started street riding, Chris Pierce and Kyle Wyman, the latter just returning from a magazine trip to Spain where the highlight of his time there was not lapping a new track, but discovering some amazing canyon roads. In the second part of Keith's Pace vs. Risk article, he walks us through his canyon riding approach that keeps the fun high and the risk low. We're back to discuss how to reduce the two major canyon riding risks we discussed in Part 1, lean angle and abruptness. While still enjoying your pace. Yes, I wrote your pace because everyone has a different pace and comfort level. Most of that comes from experience, but it's not all about laps or seat time. A famous motorcycle training guru once told a story about a guy who finally took training after 10 years of riding, and after class, that rider said he realized he'd had only 1 year of experience, repeated 10 times. At YCRS, Nick and Kim like to say practice makes permanent as opposed to practice makes perfect. I recently took a gun safety class and they used the very same term. If you have a million laps or miles doing something incorrectly, there's a good chance you're not perfect. Freddie Spencer, 3-time world champion and the only rider to ever win the 250 and 500 world championships in the same year, said he only had about 5 perfect laps in his entire career. Practice makes permanent, not perfect. In this second part of Pace vs. Risk we want to get to the techniques that I've learned to maintain a good ratio, but to do so, we need to figure out how to mitigate the risks, lean angle and abruptness. Practice mitigating them to help make your avoidance of them permanent. I recommend working on the avoidance of abruptness first because the smoother you get, the better chance you have of mastering the methods of minimizing lean angle, or the time spent near maximum lean angle, maximum risk. If you can stay smooth, avoid being abrupt, and keep lean angle to fun rather than dangerous values, you are on your way to better pace versus risk ratio. At YCRS they have great drills for decreasing your learning time and helping you not only be faster safer but also safer faster. Read through these pages, then get out and play with the thoughts I've put into this article. If they make sense, maybe I'll see you at a school someday. Smoothness or lack of abruptness. For everyday riding, I just think about everything I do as if I'm riding on ice. I squeeze my brakes on or press my brake pedal down as smoothly as I can to load the contact patch of my tires on the road smoothly. That first 0 to 5% of braking, or throttle, is the part that counts most. This is what I was taught and have practiced every day I ride, drive, or even ride my bicycle. I also avoid abruptness by always riding as if my wife is on the back. If I am abrupt, her head is going to jerk and she will be annoyed at me, never a good thing. I want to be so smooth that she can't tell when I applied throttle or brakes. I practice that even when she is not on the bike. Practice makes permanent. I do the same as I come to the end of my braking, just as I am coming to a stop. I want to avoid allowing the forks to bounce back up by how smoothly I reduce front brake pressure as the bike stops. Practice that and then use it all the time to see just how smoothly you can release the brakes. At a higher pace, if you release the brakes too quickly as you enter a corner, that abruptness bounces the forks up, which causes you to run wide and kind of unload your front tire. We don't want to ever take rubber off the road or head towards that double yellow line. Smooth release of brakes. For track riders, this tip is the cause of most cold tire crashes. Many think that they can't use the brakes into a turn on a cold tire, so they let go of the brake lever as they enter the turn and end up falling. They were abrupt and took away the pressure that the tire wanted to have pressed into the pavement. Load equals footprint. Yep, more cold tire crashes come from the front being underloaded than overloaded. As my wife always says, true story. Nick wrote an article in Cycle World magazine about it, cold tire crashes. A great and easy way to keep my brain on this came from YCRS's Chris Pierce, something Nick taught him when he was coming off mini bikes onto the big stuff. Chris is a national champion, did some World Super Sport racing, and is now a YCRS partner. Just before my one and only pro race, Chris said to think to myself as I enter every turn. Front, 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 and every time I exit a turn, think to myself. Rear, 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 rear. It keeps your brain on being smooth with your brakes entering and your throttle exiting. I like it. No, I don't ride on the street, Kyle Wyman would say. But then a magazine called and offered to pay him, and suddenly, why yes, I ride on the street. Keith's guide to managing risk while maximizing fun is the same discipline a young professional superbike racer like Kyle follows. Both riders keep the competition to the racetrack, riding with friends on the street, rather than against them. Now we can all practice being smooth and ridding ourselves of abruptness. Get it out of your writing, get it out of your vocabulary. If someone tells you to flick, flop, grab, stab, huck, or chug, don't listen to him. That promotes abruptness and is the opposite of smooth. Practice smoothness in your car or truck or on your bicycle, as it should help set the muscle memory for when you ride your motorcycle. Personal experience: when I first started with YCRS, I thought I was a great driver. I didn't have any accidents and I could get from point A to point B faster than any of my friends, and everyone always gave me the keys to drive because they trusted me. Then I picked up Ken Hill and Nick Anak from the airport for my first school as operations manager with YCRS. After our few days together, Nick and I had a debrief. It was my first school and a huge learning curve for me. I nodded while taking in all the things I did well, more so the stuff I needed to do better, and gasped when he criticized my driving. I was like, "What? I drive great." I didn't say anything. These two rider coaches were in an entire different league from mine, so my lips were sealed. I was amazed, but Nick wasn't talking about my safety or speed, he was talking about my abruptness. He wanted me to practice my riding while driving my truck. 3 years later I'm still with YCRS and Nick throws me the keys to drive almost everywhere we go. Why? Because I listened to their speeches about avoiding abruptness in everything I do and it worked. My practice in my trucks is one of the main reasons I have a good pace versus risk ratio on my bikes in the canyons.